What's up, everybody? Welcome back to some more Planet Coaster here on the channel. Today we are in Silverwood, my long in the works park that apparently I've been working on for over 2 years now, but I am going to try to actually get it done this year if we actually can. That's kind of what I'm working on. It's one of those projects where I started off and it just like took over everything I was doing. I was enjoying every single bit of it, but as we got closer to finishing, it's become something I've been kind of putting off because there's a lot of little details and stuff that I just don't want to work on. We've pretty much built every single ride in the park that is going to be in here. So now it's just a matter of doing the detail work, such as planters, different buildings, kind of filling in the blank spaces where there's a lot of stuff that's there's really nothing there. And just kind of going back over some things and you know, finalizing some stuff, you know, like you know, there's some things that probably won't be here much longer, like this building right here. I've actually already replaced this building, which you guys will see in a future episode. If you watched my streams on Twitch or here on YouTube, especially maybe last January when I was doing 31 Days of Planko, we worked on some new buildings and stuff that are actually in the park. This is actually an old save file that we are in today because I wanted to kind of show off what we're going to be working on today before I actually tear it all down. So most of the coasters and stuff are safe. You don't have to worry about me taking out any particular coasters at the moment. Everything is going to stay in here. It's just I'm changing some things around to better suit my feeling for the park anyway. So especially since I'm going to be trying to actually get up to Dollywood here soon, and I've got season pass tickets. I just don't have anybody to go with me. So yeah, I hate going to anywhere really, not just an amusement park, but I hate going to the movies or anything by myself. And of course, you know, the pandemic, you know, kind of going on has put a damper on doing a lot of anything really recently. But with the theme parks and stuff fairly open this year, I went ahead and picked up a season pass for Dollywood because, I mean, for the price of 2 tickets, you could get the season pass and go as much as you want. And they actually gave me like 3 free tickets for guests, so I could bring somebody with me up to 3 times. One of those being during the Flower Festival, which I actually think is going on right now at the moment, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, anywho, we are getting close as we're kind of going back through the park here to what I want to kind of talk about and work on today. So over here in this section of the park, I am going to try to do basically this kind of run down, kind of desperado, kind of quirky area. I don't really know exactly how to define what it is I have in my head for this particular part, but like an outlaw type of area, like an old small mining town or something like that. It's, you know, not like Old West, but just kind of, you know, where we're going. Oh shoot, it's auto saving. Just a second, guys. Okay, I think the auto save is done. I hate when it does that because it takes like literally a good 2 to 3 minutes before it's actually finalized everything in the autosave, and I never know when it's going to do it, and it always does it like right when I'm trying to record and stuff too, which is a pain. Anywho, back to what I was saying. So yeah, this little section here, anyway, I built this coaster and this station and stuff here because this was the idea that I had. I wanted to do like a full throttle kind of coaster and something that was a launch coaster because I wanted to do something around moonshine and have it in this outlaw area and stuff. And it ended up becoming a much bigger project than what I was actually kind of thinking. And I eventually decided that what I have built right here, it's fine, but it's not up to what I want to do. So what I'm instead going to do is I'm going to rip every single bit of this out, and we are going to redo this. So I'm going to get one good glimpse up here. I want you guys to kind of see what it was before I tear it out, and then we will kind of do an after kind of, well, we're going to do a time lapse of the build of the new station. So, but I've ripped out the entire station and the coaster itself. I've completely changed up the coaster. And this one was fine. It ran well, and I kind of like it. But for my new designs and stuff, this coaster just doesn't really work it doesn't really work too well over in this general area. So, like I said, we're going to just take out all of this area and redo all of it. And, you know, it's a shame because I do really like this coaster, but I do have it saved. So, you know, I've saved the blueprint. Yeah, so, you know, I'll be able to kind of, if I decide I want to go back to this. But for the time being, I do think that this coaster is going to be going. And I kind of feel like the one that I've built is actually a little bit better in most regards. There are some things I like about this coaster, but for the meantime, I think it's best to do something entirely new. And that's what we're going to kind of do today. So one last glance here at the area that we're going to be working in before. And let's go ahead and jump over into the time-lapse video as we work on the new version of this coaster. Alright guys, here we are in our time-lapse construction video. As you can see, I've already cleared out the entire area of the old coaster and basically adjusted the land to where we need it. Now, full disclosure, I actually have built this coaster multiple times with different layouts and stuff to figure out how I wanted it to go. So what you're seeing isn't me just coming up with this right off the fly for the design or anything. I actually had a design that I was working from, which took me a lot of time to get exactly right where I wanted it. So I did a lot of different kind of rough drafts and stuff, and at one point I even posted on my Twitter feed with an idea for the final version of what you guys are going to see here, and kind of asking you guys what you guys thought. I said you guys multiple times there. Anyway, what you guys thought about it, you know, basically on my Twitter. Didn't get any responses, and then I was just like, you know what? Yeah, I'm good with this. I'm good with how it looks, so that's what we're going to go with. And yeah, so this is going to be the, for the most part, the final rough draft. Or the final product. It's not exactly going to be a rough draft this time around because the others are rough drafts. This one is actually going to be the final product where we kind of make sure we get all the curves and everything right, and we make sure we get all the banking and stuff right, and do as much as we can. So this coaster is kind of based on a couple different coasters. I wanted something in Silverwood kind of reminiscent of Powder Keg. I wanted a launch coaster that had an explosion, like it launched out of the station kind of thing, and it did some cool stuff. And but I wanted to be better than Powder Keg. Like, the only cool thing about Powder Keg, in my opinion, from what I've seen, I've never ridden it, but from what I've seen on the videos and stuff, is the launch, because the rest of the ride is just kind of so-so from what I can tell. But the launch is really cool, and I really like that idea. So I wanted something like that, where we have the building up front. It's like right near the queue line. People can watch it launch and stuff. I wanted that kind of feel to this coaster. But I also wanted to give it a lot more excitement, too. So the other coaster, obviously, that we're building this from is Full Throttle. The problem with Full Throttle is you go through the loop, you turn around, you go over the loop, and then directly into a brake line. And the coaster is way too short for being such a cool idea. It looks really neat, especially with the loop and stuff. So I wanted that Full Throttle loop in here. So essentially what we're doing is we're basing this off Powder Keg, Full Throttle, but there's one more coaster that I'm kind of basing this off of, and that would be Pantheon at Busch Gardens. Any of you guys who know me, if you've watched my streams, if you've watched my other videos, I talk about Pantheon all the time. I can't wait for this coaster to open. I'm going to try to get to Busch Gardens this year. Hopefully we can do that, but yeah. So, as you can tell, we're basing this off of Full Throttle. We're basing this off of Powder Keg with its launch system and stuff. And we're basing it off of Pantheon because I want to give it some really cool twists and turns and some things like that. One of the problems I ran into while working on this coaster, and I don't know if it's just where I'm using mods or what, but when you put down the loop, it doesn't want to work right with the track. So yeah, trying to, what you just saw me kind of doing there when I was building this previously in the first few minutes while I was talking there, was I built backwards from the heel that goes over top of the loop, and was trying to make that connect with the other one, which I was sort of able to do, except for the final connection. It wouldn't connect. That's because the coaster was thinking it was going in 2 different directions instead of the same direction. So I have to build basically what you guys are seeing me do now. Now that I know exactly where the track is going to be, I've got to try to line this up with that and get it to work. It was not an easy task, but yeah, as you can see, I was able to do that and kind of work around with it. So what we have here is, so far, we've got the coaster launches, goes up into a U-turn, sort of a hammerhead turn in a way, comes back down, goes through the huge loop, over an airtime hill, and then we're going to go into a turnaround, into a sidewinder, and then into the second launch. And the second launch is going to hit the over top of the loop. Now, I'm still having trouble with this loop, though, as you can tell in the video. Here, what I'm doing right now in the video, though, is kind of working on this turnaround back here. I wanted this to be, I was kind of looking at it, and I was like, that turnaround just doesn't seem very wide. I think I would like that to be a little wider to really get some kind of speed and some forces and stuff in there, kind of before it hits that sidewinder turn. So yeah, I also kind of raised up the airtime hill a little bit there too. For some odd reason, I'm not catching much airtime on that. I need to like examine that a little bit and see. I need to figure out how to get airtime on these coasters as far as what it's thinking anyway. So kind of need to work on that. But that's for my own thing. But anyway, yeah. So now we have trying to get back into this loop here. I basically had to rebuild the loop from scratch again, from like where it went through, in order to get this connect right. So now we have the part where it's coming down off of the loop, and here there was one more element that I really wanted to put into this coaster. I wanted it to have a helix-like turn near the entry plaza to this area, so that it comes down, it comes around and turns, and there's like a viewing area for it. Because one thing I typically will do, almost always, in all of my coasters, is I love to have visibility for the guests, for our peeps. I want them to be able to see what they're getting ready to jump on. I like to have little exciting moments where the track intersects or interacts with the viewing public and stuff. So I like to have this idea, I liked the idea, I should say, of this turnaround right here, and then having the plaza over here. So we're probably actually going to have the path come up like right next to this, and then kind of go into the entry plaza there, or the coaster plaza, so we say. And then I had to try to figure out how I was going to do that. So as you can see here, got that part done. Now the next part is actually getting this to connect back to the station. So for the final bit of this, I really wanted this to kind of have some interesting, I didn't want it to just kind of do one thing. So I built my brake line first, and instead of having it straight out like I was about to do there, as you can see, I kind of angled it a little bit. So we're actually going to have this sort of airtime heel that goes over top of the second launch as soon as I actually decide to do this here. And yeah, come on. Come on, previous self. What are you doing here? All right, there we go. So, and then kind of turn and get straighten out. And then I wanted one more larger airtime here, because I really wanted our guests who are riding this coaster, I wanted to be excited and I wanted to give them a lot of airtime. I ended up not having that much airtime, but I mean, the coaster ended up with some pretty good stats, so I'm fairly happy with that. Now there's a few changes that I might actually make to this coaster, which I will talk about here in just a little bit, but for the most part, this is the final design that I really kind of went with. And then of course the next thing I have to figure out is colors and everything like that. And if you guys know me, colors on coasters, I have so much trouble trying to decide what color to paint things. I really do. It's one of those things where it's just like, man, I like this, but this might look better. I can spend hours going through different color combinations trying to find the right color for a coaster. So if you guys have any thoughts on the coaster colors we're going to use for this coaster, then let me know. We'll talk about that in a little bit more here, though, in detail. So now all I'm doing is just going over to different parts here. I'm smoothing things out. I am sort of banking things to where I need it, adjusting parts of the coaster to where I think it's best. And that's pretty much going to be the final part of this. Fixing our land. And let's head in to a live view here where I can actually talk about it. Okay, everybody, let me introduce you to the fastest, the longest, the wildest coaster at Silverwood, Bootleg Blast. At least the first version of it here anyway. So this is kind of what we are going to be working with. So let me kind of move in here and kind of show you guys. Alright, so as I was talking about in the construction video, it is based off of a couple different coasters. Obviously Full Throttle, obviously Powder Keg, and it's got a little bit of Pantheon in there as well. Built by Premier Rides, it's a version of their Skyrocket, except they've been doing some interesting things with some of their coasters here. They're been getting a little bit more wilder out there with some of their designs. Take a look at Icebreaker at SeaWorld. You can kind of see. Icebreaker and Pantheon are very similar. One is built by Intamin. The other one is built by Premier. But they're kind of close in their designs and aspects and stuff. So, yeah. But this coaster, I want to say, is built by Premier. And, yeah, it's kind of based off a couple of different coasters there, like I was talking about in the construction video. As you can see here. We're doing some testing right now. Everything is working fairly smooth. Now, I've not actually ridden this in first-person view, so I don't know how smooth the actual coaster is. I'm not too worried about it, honestly, because, I mean, other than just doing a few videos here and there, when I go into, like, you know, like first-person view and actually, like, ride cameras and stuff and kind of show it off a little bit, I don't really care too much about how smooth it is, to be honest. I don't build these coasters and just build like, okay, I'm going to spend 3 months working on this coaster. It's going to be the best coaster ever. It's going to be, like, you know, the smoothest coaster ever. I'm going to use the 4-meter method and make sure that every turn is exactly right. I'm not going to do that. I build my coasters because I build parks. And I don't have the time to waste on all that other stuff. I've talked about this many times before, but apparently I have to keep talking about it. When I did my Railbreaker coaster showcase, I got a lot of comments about how rough the coaster was. And it's fine. Honestly, it really is. I don't know why you all got your panties in a wad about that. But yeah, it's perfectly fine. It's actually, when you're watching it, it's fairly smooth. It's just when you go into first-person view, and a lot of that is due to the camera views and how it's actually done in the game. This is not No Limits, guys. This is not. This is Planet Coaster. It's a simulation game that's not that great of a simulation. I mean, you know, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't work right. So just stop worrying so much about how smooth the coaster is. Okay, anyway, got that off my chest. But yeah, so this is Bootleg Blast. As so far as you can see, I've kind of gone with a white and yellow kind of design here. The track is white, but the supports and stuff here are black, and then the under track is the track beams, whatever you want to call those, are actually more of a kind of a yellowish kind of go. And the reason I kind of decided on that color so far is because my kind of thinking is, if this is called Bootleg Blast, it's based on moonshine and, you know, kind of white lightning. So I almost went with a completely white design for it and then a completely yellow design, and neither of those matched. I kind of think the yellow definitely shows it off, especially from a distance. I don't think we actually have a yellow coaster anymore. We got kind of an orangey yellow one, like a hazard orange sort of coaster. But yeah, I don't really have anything that's this color in the park, so I thought it might kind of make it a little bit more visible to guests and stuff. And although that's not actually a thing in the game, you know, I try to think about reality and stuff when I'm building stuff anyway. trying to be more realistic in things. So still got a lot more work to do. We got to build the station. We got to build the entire area out here where the plaza and stuff is. Probably may even put in a flat ride over in here if there's room. I haven't tested it. Previously there was when I did my original kind of design of this, but not really sure if we'll have room right now. Couple of things that I might actually probably end up doing is I'm going to expand the brake line out a little bit more over into this direction. It kind of comes off of this hill right here and still has a lot more power before it hits the turn. So I could definitely kind of curve that turn a little bit more, like bank it a little bit more. Here it comes actually. So you guys kind of see. It's still got a little bit of oomph to it as it comes around there. So we're probably going to make this a little bit longer. I'm thinking about, and I'm going to ask you guys this question for those who have stuck around throughout the entire video. I'm thinking about maybe having this be kind of a 0G row right here, kind of where it flips upside down, maybe an inversion right there. Let me know what you guys think about that thought, and don't just say, oh yeah, do it because it needs more inversions. Like, realistically speaking, I mean, should we do it, or is it fine how it is? I am kind of still thinking about that. So yeah, because I'm sure I'll get a lot of comments. Most people are just gonna do it just to do it, and it's like, I don't want to do it just to do it. I want to do it if it makes sense. So we only have, I think, what, 2 inversions in the entire coaster. We've got the loop, and then we've got the Sidewinder over here. So those are the only 2 actual inversions on the entire coaster. We could go with a 3rd, you know, and I'm not opposed to it, but I think I want to know what you guys think about that first. The other thing that I am considering doing, and actually I'm just going to flip over to this here real quick and show you guys, and you guys can kind of, because I've already actually done this, and you guys tell me which design you like better. Okay, so here we're going to show you the afterthought that I kind of had about this. So originally, it comes off the hill, comes around here, and then right here it kind of goes around and then hits over into here. This version actually gives it a little more track. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be coming off the hill. It's going to come over here. It's going to make this turn down in here, and this was just kind of real rough. I'm probably going to smooth this out a bit more here, but it comes around here, and I like the idea of having it come around here and doing kind of a helix-like turn right down in here, and then it goes over here into this turn over here. So let me see if I can do this real quick here and just kind of show it. Let's see. Ooh, okay. There we go. All right, so this design right here, as you can see, or design number 2. What do you guys think? Eh? This one or the other one? Alright, anyway, that's going to be it for this video. I'm going to do another video here soon. Probably next month we'll have a new one where we're going to be working on the plaza, the station, and then making this all look really nice and kind of going with that bootleg, or not bootleg, that's the name of our coaster, kind of the powder keg look to the launch station stuff. Kind of want to do something like that. So let me know your guys' opinions on this coaster in the comments below. Really love to hear them. Try to get this just right here in it. Thoughts on colors, and thoughts on maybe doing the 0G row right here, maybe before we go into, maybe come down and do another small little bunny hop before it comes around and then back into the brake line. So kind of just maybe get rid of that extra bit of speed that it still has before it hits the brake run. Alright guys, that's going to be it, and thank you so much for watching. I very much appreciate it. I will see you in the next video, wherever you are in the world. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.